Alrighty, this is 7.4 in the multimedia topic. It is other information processes. So we have looked at displaying, and now we're going to look at a few of the others. And I'm going to show you some videos that I recommend you watch based on what those information processes go. So here's my little Prezi here. Heading would be 7.4, other information processes. And you can see off in the distance there, the first one is, of course, collecting. Collecting is an information process that we need to know, and how in multimedia do we collect data? Well, there's a number of ways that we do collect data. The first one is by using a scanner, and this video is going to explain to you how a scanner works. Which it talks about the key term, which is OCD. OCD is a term called optical character recognition, which means that a scanner will actually recognize text, and instead of converting that into an image or a bitmap, it converts it into real text like RTF type text file. The next one, of course, is a camera, and just trying not to hit that button. And the slow-mo guys do a great video on how a camera works and using the sensors and how the shutter opens and closes, and the sensors pick up the light. The more sensors you have, the better the camera is. Better as in better resolution, better image quality as well. So please go ahead and watch that video. The links will be in the description and also on our OneNote as well. So that's video number 2. The next one is a great little video that I found, which is how a television works, but also how data is collected so that you can actually display using the information process of displaying using television. There's also the information process of transmitting and receiving in this one as well. So it's highly technical, but this old video demonstrates it perfectly. Of course, you can see that they demonstrate the image being displayed on a CRT device, not our more modern OLEDs or plasma screens that we have these days. So go ahead and watch that video. Now, surprisingly, the syllabus talks about and also the textbook talks about LaserDisc, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and these are what they are. We tend to not use them as much as what we used to. I certainly have bought DVDs and CDs in my time to explain key terms and concepts of computing for this subject, but we no longer have that. Of course, what do we use now? We use YouTube because of the internet speeds and the changes that have been made through technology. So Blu-ray and the different types of discs, you do need to have an appreciation of them and understand that that's how we can collect data. Then, of course, we have the information processing of organising. And the one big thing about organising is we use storyboards. You need to know the different types of storyboards, and I have labelled this Prezi to say, look at figure 7.23 in your textbook. I'm going to do it here. This is what it looks like. So these are the 4 different types of storyboards that we can have: linear, hierarchical, non-linear, and combination. So if we talk about these in terms of what sort of storyboard are we displaying, this would be scenes in a movie, maybe, moving on to scenes. This quite possibly could be the organisation of a business or even a web page. So you've got your index page here, and then you move on to this page. Maybe that's contacts and then individual contacts here. Then you might have products and services, so the services and also the details about the different products. Non-linear is, I would say, things like PowerPoint presentations that you can move all different. So Hypermedia type ones would be non-linear, and then a combination of ones would be also similar as well. So hierarchical and non-linear is a combination as well. But quite often, non-linear tends to be a combination because you can't really say that is a linear type or a hierarchical type. So that's just a definition of what a storyboard is and how we're actually organising the data. Wrong button. Next one here, of course, is the processing part, and we have to integrate data. Now what that means is we integrate these text, numbers, images, animations, audio and video data. So we put them together, and sometimes the resultant, of course, is interactivity. So that's the way in which we do that type of processing. And then we have what's known as compression and decompression. And so this is a way in which we're actually storing and retrieving data. So we always need to, because, and you've done some calculations of file sizes, you understand that the size of an image, of course, is far more smaller than the size of a video, because a video has to multiply it by also time in seconds, so that's why it can be huge. But so how do we overcome this? How are we able to store images on our hard drives or or in a cloud, even our allocated space in the cloud? Well, we compress them, and then of course we decompress them. And so the definition of compressing and decompression is, of course, a codec. Now, codecs are something that allow us, it's a little utility that allow us to actually store files in a smaller format than what they are. So I've got a video here. Linus, of course, Linus explains what is a codec as fast as possible. So please go ahead and watch this 5-minute video to understand what a codec is. Just on that, just a point on that, students, I find, don't tend to have that much experience with using codecs because of the internet speeds. Nowadays, if you were to open a video using, say, Windows Movie Maker or Windows, Media Player or something like that, the media player will automatically know where to go to actually get a codec so it can actually play the video. In the past, we actually had to go to different places, and one website, for example, was called doom9.org, which had a whole heap of files. I might actually just Google Doom9 because it changes every now and again. Oh, Doom, no, not Doom the game, Doom9. There we go. There we have a forum for that. Might even try Doom9. What else do we have? Downloads. We can go to a Doom9 downloads page. These are all the codecs that Doom9 has. Useful software. It's huge. So we have all these, and you can see there's a page dedicated to codecs. Show all codecs. If we click on here, these are all the different types of codecs that we can use. Doom9's a worthwhile website for finding video. If you can't play a video and the codec is wrong, this is where you would get it from and install it. It also has some really interesting software in it as well. Okay, then we have Hypermedia, which I explained in the storyboarding, which allows hypermedia as in being interactive on a type of media, so going backwards and forwards. PowerPoint's a classic example of Hypermedia. Then, of course, the next information process that we have is storing and retrieving. And we look at the two different types of compression ratio here, which is lossy and lossless compression. And you need to know the ratios and the differences between the two of lossy and lossless, and the advantages of both and the disadvantages of both as well. So I've got a video from Butterscotch which explains lossy and lossless image compression, which shows you the difference between the two. It doesn't talk about videos and their types of lossy and lossless compression. It is very, very similar image compression and based on lossy and lossless compression. You do need to know the different file types that it produces as well, and that will be explained further down the track in this presentation. Okay, one of the things that we do have to know and recognise is the different types of file formats. So for images, you need to know the difference between, obviously bitmap and vector type file formats. So that's the file extension at the end, the dot whatever. So we know that a Word document is .docx for a Word document, but we also know that an Adobe PDF file is a .pdf file. So they're the types of word processing type files. But we have images as well that we need to know the different file types. So we need to know JPEG and .bmp and what they are. Same with video. We've got to know the difference, and also audio as well. So Linus does some, or quickie actually does an explanation of the different file types. So this one here is for video, and the links will be in the description. We also have for images, right? So there's different guys in quickie that actually talk about it, and then we have another one which is your audio, right? Audio file formats. So there's 3 videos there that you can watch on the different types. Take some notes on the different file extensions for those videos so that you are able to recognize them, because the HSC tends to ask you if you can recognize the difference between them. But I have seen ones that have said an audio file has the file extension of this, choose A, B, or C, or D, and it will have like HTML, RTF, JPEG, and also MP3, and you've got to choose which one is it. I know that sounds simple, but some people don't actually learn the file extensions, and so it can be an easy 1 mark for some people and quite difficult for others. Now, you will have homework assigned to you in our OneNote. The links will be in the description, and I'm hoping that you have taken notes about this one. Thanks for listening.